Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Executive Director of the American School of Classical Studies at Athens, George Orfanakos.
Welcome, welcome and good evening. Thank you so much for joining us tonight as we celebrate the American School of Classical Studies at Athens. We are truly grateful for all your presence and your support. We'd like to begin by offering a special welcome to several of our distinguished guests who have joined us here this evening. To begin, please offer a warm welcome and congratulations to our Gennadius Prize recipient, the Ecumenical Patriarchate of Constantinople. And we thank and warmly welcome His Eminence Archbishop of Theophoros of America, Patriarchal Representative His All Holiness Patriarch Bartholomew. Thank you for being with us. We also warmly welcome His Eminence Metropolitan Apostolos of Derkon. Ευχαριστούμε που ήρθατε απόψε. Μεγάλη τιμή για μας. On behalf of all of us at the American School, I would also like to extend a warm welcome to several of our past honorees who are with us tonight. We're delighted to acknowledge our previous Gennadius Prize recipients. The Stavros Niarchos Foundation, represented by our friend Vasilis Tsamis and his wonderful team, who was honored in 2018. Mark Mazauer, who was honored in 2023. Thank you, Mark. We also warmly welcome our previous Athens Prize recipients, Ed Cohen, who was awarded in 2022, and of course, last year's honoree, Mary Lefkowitz, sitting front and center. Thank you all for being with us tonight. I would also like to let you know that if you have a chance, please be sure to visit the balcony area between now and around 10 o'clock at night to see portions of our traveling exhibit entitled In the Name of Humanity. It's truly remarkable and chronicles the story of American relief aid to Greece from 1918 to 1928. Now, before we commence with our program this evening, permit me to thank all of our friends who have sponsored tables this evening. Without you, really, this wouldn't be possible. Thank you very much. And the rest of you, we encourage you to join us and bid on items in the silent auction. You can also make bids directly to the school and support one of the various different efforts initiatives that are happening at the American School. Now, all the funds we raise tonight enable the American School to preserve, promote, and protect Greece's past through archaeological exploration, conservation, research, publication, exhibitions, and academic and public programming. And now it's with great pleasure I introduce to you the President of our Board of Trustees, Rob Loomis.
Well, thank you, George, and our heartfelt gratitude to you and your team for making this event possible. I would like to extend our appreciation to the co-chairs of the Gala, Nicole Hunneman, Jackie McCabe, Sulami Strauss, Bob Pounder, and Catherine Yatrakis for their indispensable role in the success of this evening. Dear friends, tonight, as we gather in celebration, it is with great pleasure that I convey the congratulations of the trustees and the entire school community to our distinguished honoree, the Ecumenical Patriarchate of Constantinople. All of us in this room, and indeed everyone around the globe, we are all deeply indebted to the Patriarchate for its role in the preservation of the Greek language and Greek literature. During the Middle Ages, knowledge of Greek had been lost in the West. Dante, for example, knew Latin but no Greek. It was only because Greek scholars, some of them priests and some of them not, but all of them operating under the protection and with the support of the Ecumenical Patriarchate. These Greek scholars, over many centuries, were able to copy and recopy the manuscripts of ancient Greek authors and bring those manuscripts to the West in the decades immediately before and after the fall of Constantinople in 1453. Had they not been able to do this, we in the West, and indeed the Greeks in the East, would lack many of the most important ancient Greek texts. Our knowledge of the plays of Aristophanes, for example, depends on just 2 Byzantine manuscripts of the 10th and 11th centuries. Without the encouragement and support of the Patriarchate, the world today would lack much of ancient Greek literature. Texts that inspired our 19th century predecessors to excavate ancient Greek sites and to found such institutions as the American School of Classical Studies at Athens. So in bestowing tonight's Gennadius Prize, we are of course honoring the Ecumenical Patriarchate, but we are also expressing our deep gratitude for its role in preserving so much of what has occupied and enriched all of our lives. Tonight we also commemorate the rich legacy of the American School of Classical Studies at Athens, a legacy that has been built over more than a century of dedication and collaboration. Our achievements stand as a testament to the unwavering commitment and generosity of countless individuals. Among them, I would like to acknowledge our trustees, overseers, and emeriti, both past and present, as well as our managing committee, academic community, and the dedicated staff from Athens and Princeton. I invite all of you, all of the ones that I've just mentioned, to stand and be recognized, and let us express our gratitude to you for your invaluable contributions of time, talent, and resources. These are trustees, overseers, emeriti, managing committee, academic staff, and staff from Athens and Princeton. Thank you. So I venture to make a prediction, and that is that you will think that tonight's program is exciting. As you listen to our speakers and enjoy the short films we have prepared, I hope you will find inspiration in the passion we have, not only for the historic past of Greece, but also for Greece and its people today. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to invite to the stage the director of the American School, Bono Westcoat.
Thank you so much, Rob. We very much appreciate all that you, the members of the Board of Trustees, and the overseers do to advance the mission of the American School. Και τώρα είναι χαρά μου να σας καλωσορίζω όλους εδώ απόψε. It is a pleasure to welcome all of you here this evening as we celebrate another remarkable year for the American School at Athens and honor the Ecumenical Patriarchate of Constantinople with the Gennadius Prize. On behalf of the American School, we proudly recognize that the Ecumenical Patriarchate's enduring contributions to the preservation of the ancient Greek and Byzantine textual sources and cultural traditions that have been fundamental to the study and understanding of the Greek world. We celebrate the commitment of the Patriarchate to the dissemination of knowledge, which we honor and uphold through our work. At our recent open meeting in Athens, I reported on the dynamic activity taking place at the school. We're proud to be the largest foreign research institute in Greece, with excellent divisional leaders, an extraordinarily wide-ranging research portfolio, and a wide range of opportunities and excellent resources for the exploration of archaeology, history, and culture. Philanthropy makes all of this possible. Your generosity supports every aspect of the school, including new facilities in ancient Corinth, the restoration of Roman frescoes, excavation volunteers at the Agora, robust academic programs that span the pre- and post-classical Greek world, new acquisitions for our archives and our Gennadius and our Pelagian libraries, cutting-edge equipment for our laboratory, and exhibitions such as Imagining and Imaging Samothrace, from Homer to the HoloLens, If you are planning a trip to Athens, I warmly encourage you to visit the school. As Gala guests, you will find a QR code in your program to request a private tour. You'll also have an opportunity to visit that Samothrace exhibition, an evocative view of a magical island, and a glimpse into the viewscape of our longest-running affiliated project. Now, since our founding in 1881, philanthropy has been the cornerstone of the American school. Your steadfast support sustains and inspires us in all that we do, and for that we offer you our deepest thanks. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Takis Karkanis, Director of the Malcolm Wiener Laboratory for Archaeological Science, where pioneering research continues to transform our understanding of the ancient world. Takis.
Good evening, everyone. It is a joy and an honor to be with you tonight. As Bona shared, the work of the American School is made possible only through the generosity, commitment, and belief of our supporters. When it comes to our laboratory, we owe a profound debt of gratitude to one extraordinary individual, Malcolm Wiener, a distinguished scholar of the Aegean Bronze Age and a tireless champion of archaeological science. Malcolm brought to the creation of the laboratory not only his generous spirit and love of Greece, but also his remarkable intellect and visionary leadership. It was through his foresight and dedication that the laboratory was built and its current operations endowed. Thanks to his bold investment, the Malcolm Wiener Laboratory for Archaeological Science has become a center of pioneering research, where scientists are reshaping our understanding of the daily lives, health, environment, and migration of ancient populations. We are also deeply grateful to the many others who have stepped forward with remarkable gifts to advance our work even further. Our mission remains clear: to broaden awareness of the laboratory and to share the groundbreaking research that is taking place within its walls. Tonight, it's my privilege to introduce for the first time a short film that offers a glimpse into the extraordinary research of the Malcolm H. Wiener Laboratory for Archaeological Science. Please join me in turning your attention to the screen above. Thank you.
We always hoped that in time we would uncover the secrets of ancient materials, that we would be able to look inside solid objects, reconstruct vanished landscapes, and lost faunal histories. That time has come. Welcome to the future of archaeology. The Malcolm Wiener Laboratory is committed to supporting the academic community with scientific methods that provide new context to archaeological, philological, and historical research. We have sponsored over 150 projects and facilitated researchers from more than 15 countries through continuously updated, state-of-the-art resources. offering unique insights in the fields of bioarchaeology, geoarchaeology, archaeobotany, zooarchaeology, and materials science. Through collaboration with leading laboratories, institutions, and academics in Greece and beyond. Through fellowships. Through interdisciplinary education and training in the heart of Greece and on the main campus of the American School of Classical Studies at Athens.
Now, please enjoy your dinner, and our program will continue shortly. Jackie. If I could have, if I could have your attention for just one moment. If I could have your attention for just one moment, please welcome Jackie McCabe, the Secretary of the Board of Trustees.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Gala Committee, thank you all for joining us tonight and for your support of the work of the American School. We'd like to extend a special thanks to Christina Siapkara for the lovely gifts at your tables. Her company, Ierias Nama, crafts these beauty products which are inspired by ancient Greece and the 5 elements of nature. We'd also like to thank Tiki and Bill Spell for donating the delicious wine we've all enjoyed tonight, which comes from their beautiful vineyard in Sonoma County. Thank you, Christina, Bill, and Tiki. We've all come together here tonight because of our shared love of Greece and our fascination with her many unearthed stories, and to celebrate and honor the work of the American School towards uncovering that past. It would probably have been more effective to have one of our many brilliant archaeologists up here on stage tonight. When you see them sweating, dust-covered, digging in 100-degree trenches from 5 in the morning, you would be incredibly moved by their passion and devotion to their field. Instead, you have me, so I will do my best to be persuasive. I encourage you all to help support the school and its mission by bidding on the items in our silent auction. The auction closes at 9:25, and every item in the auction has been donated, so 100% of the proceeds go to support the school and its programs. Even if you don't bid in the auction, you can still participate by contributing to the school directly or through one of the academic initiatives that are also highlighted in the auction. Every dollar raised tonight makes the incredible work of the school possible. Finally, if you've not yet done so, as George suggested, please be sure to visit In the Name of Humanity, which is located upstairs on the balcony, and it's open until 10 o'clock p.m. This profoundly moving exhibit highlights the humanitarian efforts of Americans in Greece from 1918 through 1929, and the very special bond that has always existed between our two countries. Before we proceed with the presentation of the Gennadius Prize, let's take a moment to see what this exhibit is about.
This exhibition, In the Name of Humanity, American Relief Aid in Greece, 1918 to 1929, is drawn from the rich archives and collections of the American School and organizations who generously lent to the exhibition to chronicle the story of American involvement in one of the most pivotal moments in modern Greek history.
1922, the catastrophe of Smyrna and the exchange of populations that occurred in 1923 was a momentous event in modern Greek history. At a time when Greece had a population of about 5 million, it received 1.2 million refugees from Asia Minor.
Our curators have brought together letters, accounts, diaries, and things that were created by refugees to chronicle this history.
This exhibition is the product of recent research. It's a new story.
A story of American altruism through individuals and institutions that saved hundreds of thousands of Greek lives.
This story of American humanitarian relief in Greece was not known to the wider public.
And this was important because many Americans who were instrumental in offering help to the refugees were very much involved with the American School. So it is a way to look through our own history with new eyes and appreciate different facets of what we have done as an institution, and of course, who we are.
There's a lot of people that rise to the occasion during this moment. It's an international story of love, of compassion, of despair, but of hope. It's an indicator of humanity at its finest.
Good evening, everyone. As we turn to one of the evening's most meaningful moments, the presentation of the Gennadius Prize, I would first like to introduce a scholar of extraordinary intellect and vision, Maria Mavroudi. A true Renaissance woman, Maria is professor of Byzantine history at the University of California, Berkeley, with additional appointments in ancient Greek and Roman studies and Middle Eastern languages and cultures. She studied philology at the University of Thessaloniki, her native city, and earned a PhD in Byzantine studies at Harvard. Her scholarship has transformed our understanding of the intellectual exchanges between medieval Byzantium and the Islamic world, illuminating a shared legacy too often overlooked. I distinctly remember being contacted by the MacArthur Foundation in the early 2000s to evaluate the scholarship of Maria Mavroudi, a moment marked by immense pride and admiration. The resolute and inquisitive scholar, whom I once affectionately referred to as Maraki, had already distinguished herself through her masterful engagement with both Greek and Arabic sources. Her selection as a MacArthur Genius Fellow was a fitting and richly deserved recognition of her pioneering work, tracing the transmission of ideas across cultures, languages, and epochs. Maria has long championed language and philology as powerful instruments for challenging assumptions and revealing overlooked connections. Whether studying Byzantine dream books or ancient scientific and philosophical texts, her research compels us to reconsider Byzantium's central role in the intellectual life of both East and West. It was our privilege to have Maria serve as the academic advisor for the film Guardians of Hellenism, and it is our honor to count her among the members of our Board of Overseers. Please join me in welcoming to the podium Maria Mavroudi.
I heard things I didn't know about myself tonight. So, as a member of the Board of Overseers of the Gennadius Library, I'm especially happy to welcome you in our celebration of the Ecumenical Patriarchate of Constantinople. The Gennadius Prize recognizes the Ecumenical Patriarchate's role as a custodian of Greek language and culture, which it has played continuously during a millennium and a half, and still does so with distinction. Tonight, we celebrate the past, but also affirm a living legacy that continues to inspire and shape the future. Awarding the Gennadius Prize was a somewhat prescient gesture. Only shortly afterwards, it was announced that His All Holiness Patriarch Bartholomew will receive the prestigious Templeton Prize, honoring individuals whose exemplary achievements harness the power of the sciences to explore the deepest questions of the universe and humankind's place and purpose within it. This describes, in modern terms, a major goal of Aristotelian philosophy, and in general, of the Greek literary heritage that the Patriarchate has safeguarded over the centuries. To mark our award, I am honored to introduce the newest short film produced by the American School of Classical Studies at Athens. Please join me as we all turn our attention to the screen. Thank you.
Ioannis Gennadios, whose gift gave rise to this significant library, had a very broad view of what it meant to be Greek. It didn't just stop with antiquity.
The Gennadius Library is an institution that seeks to appreciate, understand, and showcase the contributions of Hellenism and Greek culture through the ages. This is where the Patriarchate comes in.
The Ecumenical Patriarchate of Constantinople played a significant role in the preservation of Hellenism.
There are three elements that have underpinned the sense of Greek identity for many centuries: language, religion, and the relationship to the past. The Patriarchate of Constantinople has played a significant role in the transmission of these elements over many centuries.
Religion is also an understanding of how the world is constituted, and in it, patristic thought and ancient Greek philosophical thought are folded together in unbreakable ways.
Το Πατριαρχείο μας είναι φύλαξ και φρουρός και εκφραστής της ελληνικής γλώσσης και του πλούτου της.
How did Greek survive? Because Greek has an astonishing record. We are used to thinking that it's because it was the language of Homer and Aristotle and Plato, etc. No, because of the conquests of Alexander the Great, it had become an international lingua franca of the Eastern Mediterranean. Therefore, this was the language in which the Gospels were originally written. And it is really Christianity that helps it go through the centuries.
Greek learning has been preserved and transmitted to modernity through the effort of Orthodox monks who were copying the manuscripts of classical literature in order to learn Greek so as to be able to compose their own religious literature.
In the Roman Empire, Latin is the language of law, the law courts, the government, the military. Greek is the language of philosophy, literature, theology, when we get to having theology, poetry.
This was an empire in which enormous prestige was attached to education, and fundamental to that education were rhetoric, philosophy, grammar, and of course the basis of those skills was the ancient Greek language. There was always a feeling that the Greek language, including pagan authors, should be studied as an intellectual discipline, an inspiration to virtue and to clarity of thought. Take the great patriarch St. John Chrysostom, the Golden Mouth. He was trained by the pagan philosopher Livanios, and Livanios regarded him as one of the greatest pupils. So there was an immense crossover, if you like, between classical Greek learning and early Christian learning.
The term parousia, the freedom to talk against injustice, belonged to the philosophers in the ancient Greek and Roman world. So that idea of parousia continued in early Christianity into holy men and women, and as an extension into members of the clergy, especially bishops and patriarchs.
So the Ecumenical Patriarch was the primary bishop of the Byzantine Empire. Naturally, it would make sense for the person in this role to be competent and well-trained. This would mean that they would have had an elite education. One of the early patriarchs who was extremely well educated and really helped to transform what would become the Ecumenical Patriarchate. It was a man known as Gregory Nazianzus, or St. Gregory the Theologian. Gregory went to great lengths to defend the right of Christians to teach the pagan classics, especially Homer, because he believed that Christianity was actually the fulfillment of ancient Greek philosophy and ancient Greek teaching, and that only a Christian would be able to interpret those texts properly.
There is a recognition in these early church fathers that there is wisdom that ancient thinkers before the appearance of Christianity had, and these would be Plato, Aristotle, Plotinus. Plotinus talks about a trinity, which lends itself to thinking about the Christian trinity. And that's why Christianity is effectively a Neoplatonist religion, because there's a lot there that you can creatively rework into the Christian doctrine. Hellenism is not a religion, it's a culture, it's a language. It is like the letters of the alphabet. You can use them to spell anything you want.
One patriarch to single out is Photios the Great, a man of immense talent and charisma who really made a sweeping evaluation of ancient Greek literature and produced a compendium of ancient Greek writings running to 280 volumes.
He collected all possible books that existed in the 9th century, and he has a tremendous record of what books exist, what he was able to read, and not only that, to give us also the content.
It's thanks to him that we have a lot of the Greek writings extant. For example, Arrian, who's the historian that we rely on to understand the story of Alexander the Great and his conquests.
Cyril and Methodius were selected by the Ecumenical Patriarch as the leaders of a mission to the Slavs. This brought Greek learning in translation to the Slavic world, but as a consequence of this, art, drama, ideas about politics, all of these Byzantine forms which had their origins in the ancient world were now transmitted to the Slavic world.
Around the 11th century, you have a great interest in Dionysius the Areopagite and Neoplatonist texts, and they get translated also into Georgian, they get translated into Arabic. Why does this happen? Because that's what gets read in Constantinople. And these fashions are emanated from Constantinople, from the Patriarchate, around the Mediterranean and beyond.
Οι πατέρες της Εκκλησίας ήσαν σοφοί θεολόγοι, φιλόσοφοι, λογοτέχνε, ποιητέ, τους όρους της αρχαίας ελληνικής φιλοσοφίας τους χρησιμοποίησαν για να μπορέσουν να εκφράσουν τα νοήματα της νέας θρησκείας τότε, του χριστιανισμού. Έχει τέτοιο πλούτο η ελληνική γλώσσα, ώστε μπορούσε να δανείσει στη θεολογία τους απαραίτητους όρους για να διαμορφωθούν και να εκφραστούν τα δόγματα της πίστεως.
After the fall, the context of the operation of the church changed radically. Within that new official structure, the church was fundamentally preoccupied with the preservation of the faith of the Orthodox Christian people, which was under threat of being lost through repeated waves of Islamization. There is only one outlet left, and that was education. So the very same year of the reestablishment of the Patriarchate, the new Patriarch was installed. Gennadius Scholarius. The next move was to re-establish the Patriarchal Academy in Constantinople.
So the Patriarchal Great School of the Nation was the center of the Ecumenical Patriarchs' educational initiatives in Constantinople. It was sort of the flagship of its leadership in the preservation of Greek culture.
What is remarkable from the very beginning was the combination of training in religious subjects, theology, sacred letters, the patristic tradition, and so forth, with training in classical Greek and gradually philosophical training as well.
In the Ottoman era, the Orthodox Church began to adopt the Western seminary model, and the flagship of its seminaries was at Halki until the 1970s, when it was forcibly closed by the Turkish government. This is the institution that served as the principal theological school for a number of the patriarchs of the 19th through 20th centuries.
Στη Χάλκη είχαμε την επίσημη βιβλιοθήκη της Μονής της Αγίας Τριάδος με τους πάρα πολλούς τόμους βιβλίων. Είχαμε παράλληλα λογοτεχνικά βιβλία και ποίηση. Όλα αυτά λοιπόν μέσα στα οποία μεγάλωσα με έκαναν να αγαπώ, να προβάλλω, να εξέρω την ελληνική γλώσσα και αν δεν θα γινόμουν θεολόγος από τη Χάλκη, θα γινόμουν σίγουρα φιλόλογος. Το Πατριαρχείο μας ήταν πάντοτε φορεύς μορφώσεως, παιδείας, ελληνομαθίας. Καυχόμεθα γι' αυτό.
The Gennadius Library owns about 450 books printed at the Patriarchal Press in Greek in Constantinople. This is an exceptional event because for most of the Ottoman period, Greek books were printed in Venice.
The books are very rare, not because they were expensive, but because they were meant to be used. So to have books on Greek grammar, on ancient Greek, with the seal of the Patriarchate, actually really makes this a very crucial way in which to understand the role of this institution for the preservation of Greek culture.
Έχει χαρακτήρα αιώνιο, δεν είναι επεισόδιο η συνάντηση ελληνισμού-χριστιανισμού. Αυτό είναι κληρονομιά την οποία προσπαθεί το Ecumenical Πατριαρχείο να διασώσει με τους διαλόγους, με την μαρτυρία του εδώ. Αν δεν υπήρχε το Πατριαρχείο, θα έπρεπε να το εφεύρουμε.
As you saw through the generosity of Archon Gus Vratsinas and Christina and Archon Brock Martin that are with us tonight. Please extend your gratitude. This would not have been possible without their support, and we thank you. We also have in our presence several of the scholars that appeared, and let's applaud for them that are here with us tonight, and thank you for offering your contribution to the making of this film. And at this moment, it's my honor to invite the following people to the stage. The director of the Gennadius Library, Maria Georgopoulou, Maria Mavroudi, Catherine Yatrakis, the director of the school, Bonna Westcott, the managing committee chair, Mark Lawal, and the president of the board of trustees, Rob Loomis, to join me on stage as I invite now the chairman of the board of overseers of the Gennadius Library, Andreas Zombanakis, to make the presentation of the Gennadius Prize.
Hold on, I'll give it to you. Thank you. You call them up first, right?
On behalf of the overseers,
The microphone, please.
on behalf of the
No, you
overseers,
call them up to the thing first, right? To the mic, invite His Eminence to the stage.
Eminence, Your Eminence, if you could join me on the stage, please.
Patriarchal representative.
His Eminence is the patriarchal representative tonight.
Wait there. Closer.
On behalf of the overseers of the Gennadius Library of the American School of Classical Studies at Athens, I hereby present the Ecumenical Patriarchate of Constantinople with the 2025 Gennadius Prize for outstanding contributions to Greek learning and Hellenism.
Go to the other side. Thank you. Thank you. Go to the other side so that we can take a picture. Go to the other side.
Yeah, you can go sit down. Okay. Ναι, το speech εδώ. Thank you. Να το λάβω. Sorry. Let me take this speech.
Thank you. That honor, of course, it was not for me, it was for His All Holiness, the Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew, and the entire institution of the Ecumenical Patriarchate. Esteemed representatives and overseers of the Gennadius Library, dear trustees and friends of the American School, Your Eminence, Elder Metropolitan Geron, let's say it in the original Greek, Geron, Metropolitan of Derkon, ladies and gentlemen, I greet you all with our joyous salutation of this Paschal season by saying, Christos Anesti. I am so very privileged to represent the Mother Church of Constantinople this evening and to accept, on behalf of His All Holiness, our Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew, the distinguished Gennadius Prize, the famed library's most prestigious accolade. It is particularly significant as we are honored to have among us the venerable presence of His Eminence, the Geron Metropolitan of Derkon, Apostolos, a most senior hierarch of the Patriarchate, and someone well known to the Gennadius and indeed most institutions of higher learning in Greece. Welcome, Your Eminence. The decision of the overseers of the Gennadius Library to include the Ecumenical Patriarchate in a list of distinguished institutions and persons who have been deemed worthy of the prize seems to me a logical conclusion for such a bastion of Hellenism as the library. Especially as we mark this coming fall the completion of the 34 years of historic and world-changing ministry upon the See of St. Andrew by His All Holiness, the Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew, the longest-serving Archbishop of Constantinople in the 2,000-year history of the Christian Church. This occasion of the Gennadius Prize is replete with significations. First and foremost, the Ecumenical Patriarchate has been the guardian and the protector of the vast cultural and linguistic legacy of Hellenism throughout the centuries. In whatever empire the Mother Church found herself, the knowledge of the ages was preserved for the generations to come. To this day, Greek is the official language of the Ecumenical Patriarchate, and the legacies of Hellenism in all their variety find expression in the philosophical and theological workings of the Church. As an example, although biblical scholars have labored and still labor intensely to establish a definitive text of the New Testament, it is the Ecumenical Patriarchate that has always understood the text as a living organism, a text to be heard as much as read. Already in 1904, when critical studies of the textual traditions of the Greek originals were gaining steam, the Ecumenical Patriarchate published a synodally approved text, a text that remains the standard for Orthodox Christianity to this day. And this happened in 1904. For the memory of the Mother Church is long. As His All Holiness said in an address very early in his patriarchy over 30 years ago, and I quote, "The memory preserved by the Mother Church throughout the centuries was, in fact, the memory of an Orthodox ecumenical civilization." Orthodox ecumenical civilization. The entirety of this extraordinary and centuries-old inheritance is exemplified by a single word in Greek, and this word is parakatathiki. Parakatathiki, which is often translated as sacred deposit. So this parakatathiki that the Ecumenical Patriarchate has preserved and guarded down through the millennia is filled to overflowing with the glories and amazing advances which the Hellenic mind has bestowed upon the world. Despite, or perhaps because of the exigencies and the challenges of her history, the Mother Church of Constantinople has excelled in safeguarding and promoting Hellenic ideals and ideas, especially those employed in service to the gospel. Second, and equally as consequential, is the sacred person of His All Holiness, our Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew. He truly is the quintessence of what it means to embody the words of the rhetorical Isocrates applied. That one that applied to the face of Gennadius Library in letters of unmistakable proportion. And I remind this text, Έλληνες καλούνται ή της παιδεύσεως της ημετέρας μετέχοντες, which means They are called Hellenes, who partake of our culture. There is a longer version of the quote, which contains a special significance for the mission of the Ecumenical Patriarchate. And this quote goes, «Και το των Ελλήνων όνομα πεπεί και μικέτη του γένους, αλλά της διανοίας δοκίν είναι, και μάλλον Έλληνας καλείστε του της παιδεύσεως της μετέρας ή τους της κοινής φύσεως μετέχοντας». Let me translate. The name Hellene, Greek, that we call today, suggests no longer a race, but an intelligence. And the title Hellene, Greek, is applied rather to those who partake of our culture or of our shared nature. What a great definition, self-definition of the Greeks. As you just heard, Socrates speaks of a genus that is no longer defined by racial or ethnic membership, but by the quality and the fullness of its mind. And this finds a certain completion in the long march, the poria of the Mother Church through space and time, as she apportions the parakatathiki both before and after the Christ event to establish a new genus, a genus that is exemplified this evening by the Hellenes and the Philhellenes who have filled this wonderful hall. Therefore, and in closing, allow me to express on behalf of the great Church of Christ, the other title of the Ecumenical Patriarchate, to express our appreciation and gratitude to the Gennadius Library and the American School for this most exceptional honor. We shall continue to uphold the best of Hellenism and convey its wondrous gifts in the spiritual amalgamation forged in the crucible of history, always being mindful of the past as we embark upon the future. Ευχαριστώ. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Eminence. Thank you, Your Eminence, and thank you for being with us tonight. It was an honor to have you with us, Your Eminence, together with Metropolitan Apostles of Derkon. And it's also an honor for us to let you know that His All Holiness Patriarch Bartholomew will be on our campus at the American School of Classical Studies at Athens this Saturday. So we're very excited about that. We're very grateful. As we conclude our program tonight, I just want to inform you that the auction will close at 9:25, and at that time we'll make one announcement, and all those who graciously won can go in the back to check out where you came in from. Remember that exhibition will still be on display until 10 o'clock this evening if you want to go upstairs, or please stay and enjoy each other's company. When you leave, as an additional token of our gratitude to those wonderful gifts that are on your table, this is your free gift. Hold on. You want to hear this. We're also going to be offering, one per couple or person as it may be as you arrived, a copy of the In the Name of Humanity exhibition catalog that describes in great detail this lovely exhibition that's upstairs. So on the way out, you can take that. Also, I don't know if you paid attention, the incredible centerpieces that were on your table, the description is in the Gala program. And those are Byzantine images of ancient Greek philosophers taken from the walls of a monastery in Meteora. They're absolutely spectacular. And that is a gift to the sponsor of this evening's table. So feel free to take them or give them away as you so command. We hope you had a wonderful time, and we hope you'll save the date for next year's gala on Thursday, May 7th, 2026. Thank you for your support and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.